When I was about 12 years old, I was doing a television series called The Travels of Janie McPheeters, and Charlie Bronson had joined the show. And at that time, Charlie was kind of had a notorious reputation and became a big movie star.
Hollywood has always been full of faces that blaze brightly before fading fast, stars who rise to the top through scandal only to fall just as noisily. But in the midst of that whirlwind, one man chose a different path. Kurt Russell, who so often embodied rugged, hard-edged anti-heroes on screen, quietly built another kind of story off-screen, a love without marriage that has endured for 4 decades, and a career spanning 60 years with hardly a major scandal to his name. He was the cold-blooded Snake Plissken in Escape from New York, the survivor R.J. McCready in The Thing, the fiery coach Herb Brooks in Miracle. But once the cameras stopped rolling, Russell never played the role of a star. He called acting a job rather than glory, avoided red carpets, steered clear of tabloid drama, and devoted most of his life to Goldie Hawn and their extended family. Yet even icons who seem untouchable cannot escape the shadows. Recent news of a rare medical diagnosis has shaken the public. Is Kurt Russell's journey entering its greatest trial yet? And will his enduring love with Goldie remain the anchor that helps him weather this storm? Kurt Vogel. Russell was born on March 17, 1951 in Springfield, Massachusetts, into a family that carried both an artistic spirit and a strong sense of discipline. His father, Bing Russell, was not one of Hollywood's biggest stars, but he was a familiar face to American television audiences of the 1950s and 60s, especially through his role as the deputy sheriff in the Western series Bonanza. Few people know that before turning to acting, Bing had been a professional baseball player, chasing the dream of becoming a star on the field. His mother, Louise Julia Crone, was a graceful dancer who once had the chance to shine, but ultimately chose to give up her passion in order to devote herself fully to the family. In that environment, Kurt grew up with his 3 sisters, Jill, Jamie, and Jody, in a small household filled with the sounds of rehearsals and dance practice, balanced by the stern principles of a strict father. When Kurt was still young, the family moved to Thousand Oaks, California, a suburb that was both peaceful and just a step away from Hollywood. It was almost destiny, a child born on the boundary between quiet suburbia and the glittering lights of stardom. At school, Kurt was not a model student. He had little interest in books, and his grades were just enough to pass. The only things that truly lit him up were baseball, a passion that seemed to run in his blood, and the trips he took with his father to the film set. Bing often brought his young son along, letting Kurt watch the world of acting from the sidelines. It opened a door to a possible career. But for the boy, the dream was still on the field, to become a professional baseball player and fulfill the ambition his father had left unfinished. Yet his childhood was not one of absolute freedom. Despite being an actor, Bing Russell did not allow his children to sink into the glow of the television. At home, they were only permitted to watch a few selected programs, and especially baseball games, as if to ensure that the love of the sport would never be overshadowed. That discipline made Kurt's childhood unusual. He was exposed to film but not allowed to indulge in it. He was raised in art, yet always kept at a distance from it. He grew up half like a mischievous boy, always running around, half like a student under strict training. And it was this balance that gave him the lifelong ability to hold passion and duty in check. From his early days in Little League to wearing the uniform of the Thousand Oaks High School team, Kurt Russell stood out as a second baseman, skilled at playing with both hands. For him, baseball was not just a game, but part of his family identity, a thread that stretched from his grandfather, through his father to himself, and later carried on by his nephew, MLB player Matt Franco. Yet while his heart belonged to the field, Kurt consistently appeared in small acting roles, from Sugarfoot to Dennis the Menace and The Fugitive. It was as if Hollywood never truly let Kurt escape its embrace, a childhood full of motion, between the lights of film sets, the swings of a bat on the field, and the discipline of a family steeped in both art and order, laid the foundation for the Kurt Russell we would come to know. A man uninterested in showing off, free from illusions about fame, who saw both art and sport as work to be carried out with perseverance until the very end. Kurt Russell first stepped onto the screen at just 6 years old, appearing in an episode of Sugarfoot, 1957. It was no coincidence. His father, Bing Russell, was the one who brought the boy to set, giving him his very first glimpse of the film world. For a child who loved baseball and was full of restless energy, the studio at first was nothing more than a playground. But little by little, each small role left its mark, and Kurt, though he never claimed it himself, soon became a familiar face on American television. In the early 1960s, Kurt Russell appeared in a string of popular series of the era: Dennis the Menace, The Virginian, The Fugitive, Gilligan's Island, Lost in Space, The FBI. With his bright face, quick eyes, and a rare naturalness in front of the camera, he stood out even in guest spots or supporting roles. He proved early on his ability to slip into many different characters, from clever boys to dutiful sons, even to mischievous figures. One small but memorable moment came in 1963 with the film It Happened at the World's Fair. Kurt had just a single short scene, a boy who kicks the leg of Elvis Presley's character, giving him an excuse to visit a nurse he liked. Just a few seconds on screen, yet that moment became part of Hollywood lore. Fans would later recall Kurt Russell as the boy who once kicked Elvis Presley. In 1966, a turning point arrived. Walt Disney Productions signed Kurt to a 10-year contract, making him Disney's star of the 1970s. This was when he transformed from a promising child actor into a leading figure in hit family films. Movies like Follow Me Boys, The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, The Barefoot Executive, Now You See Him, Now You Don't, and Superdad brought him widespread fame. Kurt Russell became a Disney teen icon, tied to roles that were wholesome, lively, and witty, exactly the kind of characters young audiences loved at the time. Strangely enough, even Walt Disney himself recognized that unique potential. Before his death at the end of 1966, Walt scribbled a note with his final words, Kurt Russell. Decades later, scholars and biographers still debate its meaning. Was it part of a plan for a new project, or simply a sign of the confidence he had in the boy's future? Whatever the answer, the note added an aura of legend to Russell's career. If acting came to Kurt Russell through his father's guidance, baseball was his own true passion, the one that made his heart race far more than any applause in a theater. From Little League to the Thousand Oaks High School team, Kurt excelled as a second baseman, a position requiring agility, quick reflexes, and seamless coordination with the team. For him, every clean catch or perfect throw wasn't just a victory on the field. It was a continuation of the unfinished dream of his father, Bing Russell, who had once been a professional player. That dream took a step closer to reality when Kurt entered the California Angels farm system, playing for minor league teams such as the Bend Rainbows and the Walla Walla Islanders. Even as Disney's rising star, Kurt never hid the truth. Acting was just a job, but baseball was his life's ambition. To friends, coaches, and even family, young Russell seemed destined for Major League Baseball. But fate intervened in a way no one could have foreseen. In 1973, during a casual game of air hockey with friends, a harmless pastime, Kurt suffered a serious shoulder injury. The doctor's verdict was devastating. Torn ligaments, baseball dream over. When Kurt mentioned he was also an actor, the doctor replied coldly, "From now on, you're just an actor." That moment was the greatest personal tragedy of Kurt Russell's youth. Overnight, he went from being a future ball player to someone forced into a life in film, a path he had never truly chosen. For many, Hollywood stardom would be a dream come true. For Kurt, it was a bitter consolation for a door that had closed forever. Caught between two worlds, the film set that seemed to be destiny, and the baseball diamond that was his broken dream, Kurt shouldered another responsibility, one far removed from either. From 1969 to 1975, he served in the California Air National Guard as part of the 146th Tactical Airlift Wing based in Van Nuys, California. It wasn't about standing out or winning acclaim, but about continuing a family tradition of discipline, loyalty, and service to the country. In the military, Kurt was no longer Disney's child star or the promising athlete. He was just another recruit. 6 years in uniform, training, on-call duty, and airlift missions taught him endurance, discipline, and patience. Long days in the barracks, grueling drills, and operational flights forged a new armor. Tough, calm, and willing to put the group before himself. Later, Kurt admitted that his time in the Air National Guard broke me down and built me back up. It taught him the value of persistence, not to burn out quickly, not to collapse under failure, but to know how to rise and keep moving forward. Perhaps because of that, when the door to baseball shut, he did not completely fall apart. And when Hollywood came calling, he entered with a different mindset, not to chase glory, but to work as a soldier once did his duty. The discipline and steadiness forged during his years in service became a quiet but lasting foundation. They not only helped him survive in a volatile Hollywood, but also helped him hold his family together and remain himself, never swept away by fame or temptation. After his baseball dream ended and his years in the military had instilled in him a sense of discipline, Kurt Russell began to approach acting with greater seriousness. In 1979, he took on a role that would become a defining turning point, portraying Elvis Presley in the television film Elvis, directed by John Carpenter. It was not only a test of his acting ability, recreating a living musical icon etched in the minds of millions, but also a test of Russell himself. Could he break free from the image of being merely a Disney child star? The result far exceeded expectations. Russell received widespread acclaim from critics for his total immersion in the role, from his expressions and mannerisms to the way he captured the inner tragedy of Elvis. The film earned him an Emmy nomination, his first real validation that he had the gravitas to step into serious filmmaking. Even more memorable, his father Bing Russell appeared in the film as Elvis's father, Vernon Presley. Sharing the screen together became a quiet, symbolic passing of the torch between generations and unfinished dreams. The 1980s marked Kurt Russell's rise as an icon of action and science fiction cinema. In 1981, he reunited with Carpenter in Escape from New York, embodying Snake Plissken, the one-eyed, cold-blooded, disaffected anti-hero whose lethal charm became instantly iconic. The character's popularity was so enduring that he reprised the role in Escape from L.A., 1996. Snake Plissken was not just another character, but proof of Russell's ability to transform a rough-edged anti-hero into a lasting pop culture symbol. The following year, in 1982, Russell once again teamed with Carpenter for The Thing. This time, he played R.J. MacReady, a helicopter pilot facing off against a shape-shifting alien capable of imitating humans. Upon release, the film was a critical and box office disappointment, criticized for its brutality. But in time, it was reappraised and hailed as one of the greatest sci-fi horror films of the 20th century. MacReady, tough, isolated, distrustful, became another indelible role for Russell. Having made his mark with Elvis, Escape from New York, and The Thing, Russell went on to prove he was more than just a face tied to action or science fiction. He began branching out into roles that demanded authenticity, depth, and emotional weight. In 1983, he appeared in Silkwood, a drama based on the true story of Karen Silkwood, a nuclear plant worker who stood up against industry cover-ups of safety risks. Russell played Drew Stevens, Silkwood's boyfriend, opposite powerhouse performances by Meryl Streep and Cher. No longer the grizzled action figure, he portrayed an ordinary man, loving yet fearful, protective yet powerless against his partner's courageous choices. His understated yet heartfelt performance provided crucial emotional balance for the film, earning him a Golden Globe nomination and cementing his reputation as a versatile actor capable of carrying weighty dramas. 3 years later, in 1986, Russell once again joined Carpenter for Big Trouble in Little China. This time he played Jack Burton, a brash, bumbling truck driver swept into a fantastical world of sorcerers, monsters, and Chinese mysticism in San Francisco. Jack was no typical hero. He was cocky, clueless, and often laughably inept. But it was precisely these flaws that made the character endearing and unique. At the time of release, the film flopped at the box office and critics dismissed it as too bizarre for mainstream audiences. Yet over time, it became a cult classic, and Jack Burton, a reluctant, imperfect hero, earned a place among the 1980s most memorable characters, a sharp counterpoint to Hollywood's polished male leads. In 1987, Russell and his real-life partner Goldie Hawn lit up the screen together in Overboard. The romantic comedy told the story of a spoiled, arrogant heiress, Hawn, who loses her memory after an accident and is tricked by a widowed father of 4, Russell, into believing she is his wife. The film blended comedy, charm, and sweetness in equal measure. Their banter, mishaps, and unexpected tenderness captivated audiences, and Overboard went on to become a romantic comedy classic, beloved for decades. What made it especially magical was that Kurt and Goldie's off-screen love infused the film with undeniable authenticity. Every smile, glance, and playful exchange felt as if audiences were watching a real love story unfold. For both, it became a cherished project, a golden moment where love and art merged seamlessly. By the late 1980s, Kurt Russell had long outgrown the shadow of being a former Disney star and established himself as one of Hollywood's most bankable and respected leading men. He appeared in a steady stream of commercially successful and artistically notable films, securing his place among the A-list. In 1988, he starred in Tequila Sunrise, a romantic crime drama alongside Mel Gibson and Michelle Pfeiffer. Playing a cop caught between friendship, love, and professional duty, Russell delivered a performance that was both tough and emotionally resonant. The film succeeded critically and financially, lifting Russell to another career peak. The very next year, in 1989, Russell co-starred with Sylvester Stallone in Tango and Cash. The two played rival cops forced to team up against a common enemy. While critics dismissed the film as loud and overblown, audiences loved it. The chemistry between Stallone and Russell turned it into one of the decade's most popular buddy cop action comedies. In the early 1990s, Russell continued his streak with Backdraft, 1991, playing firefighter Stephen Bull McCaffrey. The film vividly captured the danger, bravery, and loss inherent to the profession, with intense, realistic fire sequences that left audiences breathless. Russell's performance once again showed his ability to embody professional archetypes in ways that resonated deeply. 2 years later, in 1993, he further etched his name into cinema history with his portrayal of Wyatt Earp in Tombstone. Blending rugged Western charisma with stoic restraint, Russell crafted one of the most highly regarded screen versions of Earp. Tombstone became a rare modern Western to achieve major success, reinforcing Russell's standing as an actor capable of mastering any genre. By 1994, Russell was conquering audiences worldwide with Stargate, in which he played Colonel Jack O'Neill. The sci-fi adventure was a massive box office hit and launched a long-running television franchise. Russell himself pocketed $7 million, a paycheck confirming his position among Hollywood's highest-paid stars. His momentum only grew. He earned $7.5 million for Executive Decision, 1996, $10 million for reprising Snake Plissken in Escape from L.A., 1996, and reached $15 million for late-decade blockbusters Breakdown, 1997, and Soldier, 1998. These figures reflected not only the studio's confidence in his name, but also the tremendous box office pull he consistently delivered. By the 2000s, Russell no longer needed to prove his star power. Instead, he diversified his choices, taking on projects across genres: drama, superhero films, comedies, even children's movies. In 2004, he delivered a stirring performance in Miracle, dramatizing the 1980 Winter Olympics when the U.S. hockey team defeated the mighty Soviets. As coach Herb Brooks, Russell balanced the hard edge of a leader with the compassion of a mentor. Critics agreed that his portrayal brought the film its authenticity and inspirational force, so much so that many felt the story belonged to him more than anyone else. A year later, he surprised audiences again with Sky High, 2005, playing the Commander, a superhero father juggling world-saving duties with raising his children. Lighthearted and funny, it showed Russell's willingness to reinvent himself and connect with younger viewers. In 2007, he plunged into Quentin Tarantino's gritty world with Death Proof, playing stuntman Mike, a deranged killer who used his stunt car to terrorize women. It was a chilling, sinister turn that defied his usual heroic persona, proving his courage in tackling dark, complex roles. The 2010s saw even more striking performances. In 2015, he joined Tarantino again in The Hateful Eight, playing John Ruth the Hangman, a brutal yet principled bounty hunter. His uncompromising performance blended savagery with rigid morality, leaving a lasting impression. 2 years later, Russell entered the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2, 2017, portraying Ego the Living Planet, Star-Lord's powerful, godlike father. Both epic and emotionally conflicted, the role showcased Russell's ability to awe global audiences even in his 60s. Perhaps most unexpectedly, Russell charmed millions as Santa Claus in The Christmas Chronicles 2018-2020. Reinventing the character, his Santa was energetic, witty, and undeniably cool, a far cry from the traditional jolly old man. With Goldie Hawn alongside him as Mrs. Claus, the films became a testament to their enduring love, delighting audiences who saw not just a Christmas story, but a real-life couple carrying their bond from life into art. While Kurt Russell was steadily building success on the big screen, his private life entered a chapter filled with challenges. Before becoming one half of a legendary love story with Goldie Hawn, Russell experienced a brief yet significant marriage with actress Susan Hubley. They first met in the late 1970s while working together on the television film Elvis, 1979, the very project that marked a turning point in Kurt's career. In the film, Russell played Elvis Presley, while Hubley portrayed Priscilla Presley, the rock legend's only wife. The process of embodying and reenacting that turbulent relationship brought Kurt and Susan closer together. What began on screen soon carried into real life, and the pair quickly became a Hollywood couple to watch. In March 1979, Kurt and Susan officially married. Their wedding was not the glamorous spectacle of a star-studded event, but rather simple and quiet, true to Kurt's nature at the time. A year later, joy arrived with the birth of their son, Boston Oliver Grant Russell, on February 16, 1980. In those early years, Kurt was known as a devoted father, striving to balance a demanding work schedule with his responsibilities at home. He often shared that Boston was his greatest source of pride, and fatherhood had reshaped the way he viewed life. Yet the marriage did not follow the path of lasting happiness. Both careers were entering demanding phases. Kurt was working tirelessly to shed the Disney star image and prove himself in more mature roles, while Susan was also trying to secure her place in the industry. Conflicting schedules, work pressures, and differences in temperament gradually created cracks in their relationship. By 1983, after 4 years together, Kurt Russell and Susan Hubley decided to divorce. It was a difficult time, especially for Kurt. he had to face the pain of a failed marriage while also ensuring his young son would not suffer from his parents' separation. Those close to him recall how Kurt consistently sought to maintain a respectful relationship with Susan, always prioritizing Boston's well-being. Because of this, even after their split, the two preserved mutual respect, and Susan remained an important figure in their son's life. Though short-lived, Kurt Russell's marriage to Susan Hubley left a lasting imprint on his personal journey. It revealed another side of the actor, a man capable of enduring loss and heartbreak, yet still able to put fatherhood above all else. That experience would later serve as the foundation for the enduring love he built with Goldie Hawn, his partner for more than 4 decades. Kurt Russell's life took a completely different turn in 1983, right as he was reeling from the shock of his divorce from Susan Hubley. While working on the film Swing Shift, fate brought him back to Goldie Hawn, someone he had first met briefly in 1966, when both were very young and appeared in the one and only genuine original family band. At that time, Kurt was just 16, Goldie 21. She jokingly called the sweet teenager too young to think about dating. Nearly 2 decades later, they met again, both having weathered the ups and downs of their personal lives. And this time, sparks flew. Their love began in the most unconventional way. During the audition for Swing Shift, Kurt showed up with a little too much to drink and blurted out a cheeky comment about Goldie's figure. Instead of taking offense, she laughed, and that clumsy honesty made him stand out from every other Hollywood man she had ever met. Their first date was even wilder. After going swing dancing at the Playboy Club, they ended the night by sneaking into the house Goldie was renovating, only to be caught by the police. It was anything but romantic in the traditional sense, yet it was the perfect start to a one-of-a-kind love story. Kurt didn't just win Goldie's heart, he also won over her 2 children with Bill Hudson, Oliver, and Kate Hudson. Years later, Kate admitted with emotion, "Kurt never had to be our dad, but he chose to, and he did it with all his heart." His natural, sincere way of treating her kids convinced Goldie that she could build a lasting family with him. In 1986, the couple welcomed their son, Wyatt Russell, who would go on to become a professional hockey player before switching careers to acting. For Kurt, being part of a big blended family with stepchildren and his own child was never a burden. He called it the most beautiful job of my life, a responsibility that stood side by side with his acting career. What's most remarkable is that, for more than 40 years, Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn have never married. They've been asked countless times why not, and always replied that a marriage license wasn't what kept them together. Goldie once explained, "Marriage is tough. If you can make a relationship last without paperwork, then why get married?" Kurt agreed, emphasizing that the choice to stay together every day mattered more than any ceremony. Of course, their happiness hasn't been without shadows. Rumors have swirled over the years about family quarrels, about the relentless media pressure questioning why they haven't married, about Kurt's alleged drinking or Goldie's supposed flirtations. But instead of responding publicly, they chose silence, working things out privately at home. Years later, Goldie revealed the secret, respecting each other's space. "We love each other, but we also let each other be ourselves. I don't try to change Kurt, and he doesn't try to change me." Their love story has been filled with cinematic milestones. Overboard, 1987, where they co-starred, was not only a rom-com classic but also proof of their real-life romance. In 1989, when they appeared together at the Oscars, they playfully staged a mock proposal on stage, sending the audience into laughter and admiration. In 2017, when they received their stars side by side on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Kurt wept as he said, "To you, I owe my wonderful life. Simply put, Goldie, I cherish you." That simple yet profound declaration forever sealed their place as one of Hollywood's greatest couples. Their family has since grown with grandchildren, from Kate, Oliver, Boston, to Wyatt. Kate Hudson has said, "I don't need anyone to define who my dad is. That man is Kurt Russell." It was not just gratitude, but a testament to the love and devotion Kurt poured into his family without any legal bond. In recent years, however, a quiet shadow has fallen over their home. News broke that Kurt Russell had been diagnosed with Peutz-Jeghers syndrome, a rare genetic condition that increases cancer risk, leaving fans stunned. Whispers followed that the illness brought tension, even arguments at times, but in the end, Goldie never left his side, facing every storm with him. If in the past, Kurt Russell was remembered for his rugged, commanding presence, today, the image most deeply etched in the public's memory is that of an older man with silver hair, walking beside Goldie Hawn, weary eyes but hands still tightly clasped with the woman who has been by his side for over 40 years. And perhaps that is Kurt Russell's greatest role of all. A faithful partner, a devoted father, a man who chose to live authentically in a world so often built on illusion. Alongside a career spanning more than 6 decades, Kurt Russell has also built an enviable fortune. Depending on the source, his net worth is estimated between $100 and $190 million, a figure that reflects the endurance of a star who knows how to choose roles, maintain balance, and never chase after market noise. Interestingly, his record-setting earnings have even been calculated with precision, an average of $5,682 per spoken word, ranking him just behind Tom Cruise among Hollywood actors. It was proof that his value never lay in the quantity of lines, but in the weight carried by each word, each look he delivered on screen. Beyond his film career, real estate has been a major part of Russell and Goldie Hawn's life. The couple once owned a Malibu beach house, a place full of family memories, which they later sold for $9.5 million. They also purchased a Manhattan penthouse worth $3.8 million designed in Southeast Asian style with Buddha statues, reflecting a philosophy of serenity and meditation. In addition, they bought a Pacific Palisades home for $4.1 million and later sold it for $6.9 million. Most cherished of all is their ranch in Aspen, Colorado, a place Kurt calls the House of Memories, tied to countless simple, everyday family moments. Despite his immense wealth, Kurt Russell's lifestyle has never been flashy. No ostentatious supercars, no wild parties. He chose instead to stay close to nature, focus on his health, meditate, and above all, nurture his family. In the glittering but hollow world of Hollywood, images of Kurt and Goldie spending peaceful days on their ranch, surrounded by children and grandchildren, have become a symbol of another kind of wealth, the serenity that follows the spotlight. Outside of the film set, Kurt Russell has never been the kind of artist who lived solely off Hollywood's glamour. He ventured into business as a way to extend his personality and everyday passions. Together with Goldie Hawn, he launched the wine brand Goldie Wines, named after the affectionate nickname he gave her. Their Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, priced between $50 and $75, are now distributed in around 100 restaurants across the United States. More than just a label, the wine itself became a love letter, with Kurt immortalizing Goldie's name in every bottle. Meanwhile, the Aspen Ranch has served not only as a house of memories, but also as the base for a unique business, raising cattle and selling organic beef. For Kurt, it was more than an investment. It was a way of life, grounded in nature, and an escape from the noise of Hollywood and red carpets. Like many American men who came of age in the 1960s, Kurt has an almost endless passion for cars. His garage is a collection that ranges from classic American muscle like the Pontiac Trans Am and Shelby GT500 to European sports cars like the Porsche 911 and Ferrari California. He has openly expressed his love for his Ford Raptor and long road trips, Beyond cars, he is also an avid motorcyclist, owning several Harley-Davidsons, the very emblem of freedom he cherishes. And he doesn't stop there. Russell also holds a private pilot's license and often flies his own plane on personal trips. To him, the freedom of the skies provides a rare sense of release after long months bound by shooting schedules. Alongside this, he has maintained a passion for hunting, a controversial pastime, yet for Kurt a family tradition tied to memories of following his father on outings as a boy. Taken together, these passions and ventures beyond film have shaped an image of Kurt Russell as something far more than a Hollywood star, a grounded man with a love for wine, engines, and the untamed outdoors. In recent years, entertainment media and social networks have repeatedly spread alarming rumors about Kurt Russell's health. In particular, numerous videos and articles have sensationally claimed that he was diagnosed with Peutz-Jeghers syndrome, PJS, a rare genetic disorder that causes gastrointestinal polyps and increases the risk of cancer. Some sources even embellish the story, suggesting that Kurt was suffering from a flesh-eating disease or irreversible damage. These rumors began circulating in 2017, when tabloid Radar Online published photos of Kurt with a sore under his lip, quoting a doctor who speculated it could be a precancerous lesion. YouTube channels and unverified websites quickly amplified the claim that he had PJS, exaggerating it as a condition directly threatening his life. From then on, articles kept repeating the claim, fueling waves of concern among fans. However, official sources paint a very different picture. Outlets such as Distractify, Sportskeeda, and Nicki Swift have all pointed out that there is no medical evidence confirming Kurt Russell has PJS or any serious genetic illness. The photos showing bandages or facial marks were most likely the result of makeup for filming or minor everyday mishaps. In fact, some of his appearances with scratches on his face coincided with projects like Deepwater Horizon, a film known for its physically demanding and rough sequences. It is also notable that the doctors quoted in these speculative articles were never his treating physicians. They were simply offering remote guesses based on images, a practice highly prone to misleading the public. To date, there has been no official statement from Kurt Russell, his representatives, or any hospital confirming a serious illness. On the contrary, his appearances alongside Goldie Hawn and their grandchildren as recently as 2023 suggested he was maintaining a normal, healthy life. Despite health rumors stirring unease among fans, Kurt Russell has continued balancing both career and family life. In 2024, he appeared with his son Wyatt in the Apple TV Plus series Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, with the two portraying the character Lee Shaw at different stages of life. It was a rare father and son collaboration, though Kurt admitted he never wanted to turn it into a family business, but simply saw it as a coincidental artistic experience. Outside of work, Kurt and Goldie Hawn continued to be a public presence through family moments. In September 2024, the entire family, including Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson, appeared on the red carpet at the Mind Up Love-In Gala in Beverly Hills, underscoring their close-knit, multi-generational bond. Later that year, Kurt and Goldie were spotted Christmas shopping in Aspen, Colorado, their relaxed, unbothered demeanor contrasting sharply with the rumors swirling around them. Also in 2024, a new Western project was set in motion, The Madison, a spin-off from the Yellowstone universe. Filming began in Montana and Texas that year, and even during pre-production, Kurt's name was mentioned as a key casting choice. Though his involvement would not be officially confirmed until 2025, it was clear that Russell had not retired, contrary to what some had speculated. In private conversations, Kurt also drew attention by speaking about his friendship with Val Kilmer, his co-star in Tombstone. He revealed that they once exchanged darkly humorous keepsakes, gifting each other plots of land near Boot Hill Cemetery as a way of honoring their characters. Such details not only revived cinematic memories, but also reflected Kurt's humor, uniqueness, and candor. qualities that have always set him apart. If in 2024 fans worried about Kurt Russell being shadowed by rare disease rumors, then in 2025 the spotlight shifted to Goldie Hawn, his lifelong companion. Well into her 70s, she showed no signs of retreating from the public eye, maintaining an active rhythm of life that balanced art, family, and community work. At the very start of the year, Goldie made a dazzling impression when she appeared with Kurt Russell on the 2025 Oscars red carpet. Dressed in a shimmering gold Dolce & Gabbana gown, she became the focus of photographers. Yet the most memorable moment came when she jokingly claimed she had cataracts and needed Andrew Garfield to read the teleprompter for her. The quip drew laughter across the room, once again showcasing the lighthearted humor and optimism audiences adore in her. Goldie also revisited a piece of her career legacy. In February 2025, she and Kurt attended Broadway's musical adaptation of Death Becomes Her, based on the classic 1992 film in which she starred. Meeting the new cast, she shared her emotions at seeing the story reborn on stage, a strange but moving bridge between past and present. Perhaps the most heartfelt highlight was the animated project Brain Buddies, launched in May 2025. The educational series on children's mental health featured Goldie working with her 3 grandchildren, Wilder, Bodhi, and Rio, with Goldie herself contributing voice work. For her, it was more than just a small creative project. It was a continuation of her dedication to Mind Up, the nonprofit she founded to help children develop emotional awareness, resilience, and life skills. Later in the year, Goldie made another public appearance at the premiere of Happy Gilmore 2 in New York, where her son, Oliver Hudson, had a cameo role. She arrived with her children and grandchildren, proving once again that, despite her busy schedule, family remained the center of her life. Throughout 2025, Goldie Hawn embodied the image she has long held, a star who shines not only through roles or glamorous gowns, but through her devotion to Kurt Russell, her closeness to her family, and her unwavering belief in the power of optimism. And in doing so, she continued to be Kurt's strongest anchor, helping him face whatever clouds of uncertainty about his health might linger on the horizon. Looking back, it's difficult to pin down Kurt Russell's legacy with a single label. He was never just a pure action star, nor solely a dramatic actor. He was a rare balance, from the lighthearted Disney comedies of his youth to hardened figures like Snake Plissken, to emotionally layered performances in Silkwood and Miracle. That range allowed Russell to cross generations of audiences without ever losing credibility as a performer. His legacy also lives on through his collaborations with great directors. John Carpenter turned him into an icon of the 1980s with Escape from New York and The Thing. Quentin Tarantino revealed his darker, haunting side in Death Proof and The Hateful Eight. These roles proved Russell's rare versatility, an actor who could move seamlessly from sci-fi and horror to westerns and even Marvel superheroes without ever being typecast. Off-screen, Kurt Russell left a mark through his choices in life. He avoided the scandal machine of Hollywood, maintaining the almost unheard-of image of a star committed to one woman for more than 40 years, without ever marrying. His relationship with Goldie Hawn has become proof that endurance, respect, and simple love can outlast both the spotlight and health scares. To many colleagues and fans, they remain the last great couple of classic Hollywood. Russell's influence also extended into his family. Kate Hudson has repeatedly emphasized that he is her real father, while Wyatt Russell, who followed in his footsteps as an actor, has said he learned from his dad not just craft, but also composure under pressure. More broadly, Kurt Russell left his stamp on culture. The Snake Plissken character inspired countless figures in video games, comics, and later films. With all this, Kurt Russell's name is tied not only to box office hits, but also to a philosophy of life, treating acting as a job, family as the true center, and freedom as a core value. His legacy is not measured by Oscars, something he never chased, but by the enduring respect of audiences, peers, and future generations of actors. Now in his 70s, Kurt Russell has nothing left to prove to Hollywood or to his fans. He chooses simplicity, living close to nature, wine, his ranch, and his family, a path far removed from stars who burn bright only to fade quickly. His story, beyond his career, is a reminder that sometimes perseverance, loyalty, and quiet love are the greatest legacy a person can leave behind. So what is it that makes you admire Kurt Russell the most? His tough-as-nails characters, his lifelong love with Goldie Hawn, or his grounded philosophy in the midst of stardom? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe these values deserve to be remembered and shared, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss more untold life stories of the Hollywood legends you love.